Sometimes we use the word filter. Sometimes we use the word index. Sometimes we just look at the problem and we throw stuff against the wall until something sticks. Look, that's the approach a lot of us use. I'm going to try to incorporate, or I'm going to try to explain how to do this logically in order to come up with the answer. Filter on first or last n values. In other words, show us the first three names. Show us the last three names. I threw in filter because we're going to use filter. We're going to incorporate index and sequence in order to pull this off in solving the first three. And then we're going to throw in the filter and sort using the last three. Why can't we use the same approach in both? I'll explain why. Fred Williams, XL Prime. Index functions without match, a good or bad divorce. Many said in 2019 that the index function was dead. Well, we'll disagree. We think the index is still a powerful tool combined with, well, let's say the filter and sequence functions. We can still do a heck of a lot with the index function. Here we have a case where we have a bunch of names combined with some blank rows in this range from B5 to B14. Our goal here is to find the first three names. Our second goal is to find the last three names. How do we do this? Let me show you. Here we have, in our display here of different syntax, we have index, filter, sequence, sort, and sum. Somebody throws this at you, say, look, I have this situation where I have the names and what have you. I want these in sequential order. Go ahead and show me how to do that. One thing, you could just delete the row. Let's say you had 5,000 rows. Well, that just wouldn't be sensible. If this was combined with a bunch of other information to the right, let's say in row C there was something critical, well, then you know you're going to have to design something here. So the idea here is just to keep it as simple as possible and just think. We know index. What does index do? It returns a value based on its column and row numbers. All right, that makes sense. How about filter? What does filter do? Well, filter allows you to filter a range of data based on criteria you define. As we practiced earlier, sequence, well, sequence may be a new function, and I'll explain it to you. Allows you to generate a list of sequential numbers in an array. And then sort sorts the contents of a range or array, and then clearly sum adds numbers together. Now, how do we put all this together? Well, let's think about this. We have to put stuff in order, and sequence allows you to generate a list of sequential numbers in an array. Well, okay, sort of what we're shooting for. And then filter, what does filter do? It allows you to filter a range of data based on criteria you define. What if we filter and we don't want blank rows? Seems like filter can handle that. And then once you have all that information together, what does index do? It returns a value based on its column and row numbers. Here we go. In the formula bar, we have index, filter, and sequence. Let's go through each. We have sequence, and what's sequence asking? Well, sequence says, allows you to generate a list of sequential numbers in an array. What are we shooting for? We want the first three bits of information based on our criteria from filter. Sequence says rows. Well, we want 3 rows. How many columns? 1 column. We want to start where? At number 1. And how many steps? 1. What does that mean? That means if we wanted to start at 2, we could put start at 2, and then we could count our steps would be, well, we could do 1, 2, 3, or 2, 4, 6 based on your steps. Your start could be anywhere. It could be row 9. It could be negative. You determine wherever you want this to start. We start at 1. D5 is row 1. Steps would be 1 at a time. Filter. Filter says, find an array. Well, that's B5 to B14. And then it says, include Boolean array supplied as criteria. Wow, that means what? That means true or false. So what we're looking at here is We have the array, we have the include. What does that mean? That means if none of these equal B5 is not blank. That's what it's asking. That's the Boolean. It's either yes or no. And if it's yes, filter. If no, then don't filter. And then ultimately, index is going to say, well, what's the final outcome? So we'll go here and we'll just hit row number and we're going to hit F9. So we have rows 1, 2, 3, and that would be the sequence 1, 2, 3. Our filter would be the array, which would be Daniel, Adam, Philip, Jeanette, Amanda, Frederick, and so on and so forth. And what does index do? It's going to say, well, spit out the first three names 1, 2, 3. And that's it. It's the organization, it's the logic that kind of screws you up. You always have to find a starting point to try to work backwards. Start with sequence. Why? Because sequence allows you to generate a list, and that's what we're trying to do. Ultimately, we want a list of names without blanks.
Be sure to check out our extensive courses, which include Excel data and text manipulation for advanced users, beginners, intermediate. We also have this great essentials, the A to Z for advanced users, the comprehensive beginner level 1 and 2. Then we have our advanced formulas, strictly formulas, great set of courses, which we have a beginner level 1 and beginner level 2, this intermediate level, and we have this advanced level. Click on any of the links. There's a short video that explains everything about the course. Check it out.
The second example, we want the last three names. So we want to go from Parker up to Frederick. The catch here, the only difference here is the sort. Use the sort, go to sort, and what does sort say? We have an array, and then we have the sort options, the sort index, column index to use for sorting, default is 1. We have a sort order optional, ascending or descending. You could see in this example, we have sort, and then if we go through the steps here, we have the array, which is the entire sequence, and sort index. Well, all we're asking is, what are we trying to do? It's going to say row numbers or numbers to return. And what we need to recognize here, the only difference between the first example and the second example is the sort. Now, the tricky thing here is this sum. The trick, what we're trying to do is count from the bottom and reverse it, go up. And the only way to do that is to find this last row. As I've explained in the past, you have to do a little trickery here. Look, we have sequence 311. If we look at the other example, we simply hard-coded it. We just said 3111. And that is, look at sequence, and it says rows 3, column 1, start 1, and steps 1. Here in the second example, we have 3 in the sequence and we have 1. What does that mean? Well, we want 3 rows and we started at 1, but what is the start? What if this row is, let's say there's 4,000 rows here and you want to start at row 3,300. You can see how much of a challenge that would be. This sum, negative, negative, or unary, B5 to B14, not blank. All that is saying is, give me the step. In other words, look through this column here. If we get rid of the blanks, what do we have? We have this number here, which is, if we just look at sum, F9, it's going to give us 100001. See, if you count, if you get rid of the zeros, what's going to happen? That's 8. If we go to sequence, we go to array, F9, going to go 876. Once you get rid of the 2 blanks, it's going to go 876. And if we go a little deeper into here, if we go to step, we go to start, F9, it's going to give us 8. So it's going to go 3, 1, 8. If we go back to sequence, where it says rows, column, start, we're going to start at number 8. Where's number 8? Well, if we count down the rows, there's number 8. Get rid of the rows, and then we have Parker, May, and Frederick. This is a case where you're going to have to practice. You're going to have to deal with this sort feature on its own. Then dive into sequence and play around with it. Go into the filter and play around with it. Index, you're probably pretty well versed on index, but the filter, the sort, and the sequence, and then the sum is a little tricky. And the only way you're going to get better at this stuff is just practice. Brad Williams, Excel Prime, Williams out.